Hey everybody, Fishman here. Welcome to the video. From time to time in the comments section, I get requests from you guys to show you work that I do for clients. Admittedly, almost all that is for me to show you displays I put together and that kind of thing. And I do have some of that stuff coming up, but I also get other kinds of work, one-of jobs. And this is a kind of a perfect example of that. This is a job I got requested to do to replace a bunch of missing and or broken stuff that was on a lobster tank. They want to put an old tank back into service, and I need to make 3 rather large lids that you can see here, and also a filter insert. And as you can see, sometimes when I get jobs like this, I have to kind of improvise because I don't really have a lot of space to clamp things down and drill proper holes and stuff for this sort of work. So as you can see here, I cut up a piece of wood, clamped it firmly in a vise, and I basically just got the job done without having to, purchase any new equipment or anything along those lines. Just doing what I need to do to get it set up. Now, those lids, I am going to put all those strips on them so they don't bend, and also going to make them reversible. That's not going to actually happen in this video because, first off, this video is getting long enough, and secondly, the job is actually going to go over a few days, and I didn't get it all done in time for this particular video. So what I wanted to show you mostly, though, is this. This is a filter that is going to sit inside a containment system for the lobster tank. So it had to have rather specific conditions that it had to fit, and also whenever I get these jobs, a client will have a certain way they want it to look. So I have a little bit of leeway. What I can do is, when I'm negotiating for the job, they'll ask for certain things. And in the case of the lids, they just wanted them to be a little bit thicker and also just lay there and not require any reinforcing. That would require me getting probably about 3/8 Lexan, and that was so much more expensive than the 1/4-inch acrylic that they changed their minds. So they're quite happy with the concept of putting bracing on them and then flipping them from time to time. So that's I'm going to make them reversible. As far as this goes here, I had a little bit more leeway because it's going inside. It's going to drop inside a box which is sitting inside the filter, so they're not going to see it at all. It had to be removable, of course, and it also had to have one thing you're going to see at the very end, which is a piece of egg crate to fit across all these brackets. So the most important thing, of course, was all the flow that goes through this has to go through all of it. This is going to have some filter media put on it and activated carbon, and I'm not sure about the rest of it because, like I said, I'm not actually going to set this up. I'm not going to do any of the maintenance on it. I'm just going to drop this in, put the lids on it, and as soon as they okay, this looks good enough, I give them my bill and I walk away. But it has to be durable. So I wanted to make sure that all the forces that go on this are going to be aiming down. Well, in this particular case, they're going to be aiming towards me. So these slats are 1/4-inch thick, and they're also 1-inch wide. So they're going to provide plenty of structural support for this. Because the thing about lobster tanks, when people run them, is they tend to run the filtration system as long as they can. There's not actually, believe it or not, a lot of money in a restaurant having live lobsters. They usually use it just as a draw to get people in to the restaurant, and then hopefully they'll make money on something else. And the whole key here is for them not to lose any money on the actual lobsters themselves. Like, if you start losing lots of lobsters, that's always a bad thing. I did have maintenance contracts years and years ago for a couple of companies in town to do maintenance for lobster tanks. None of that exists anymore, I don't think, but it is a very unforgiving kind of maintenance job. If you ever think you wanted to get into what I do, probably stay away from lobster tanks. If they get a shipment of lobsters in and they lose one, they're really, really unhappy. And it's kind of a bizarre thing, because you'd think, considering the price of lobsters, that there would be a bit more money in it, but there really isn't. So anyway, there you go. This is all the slats on this side, and what I'm going to do now is let that sit for a few seconds, and then I'm going to flip it 180 degrees, 90 at the moment, and then the easy part, of course, for this is to just to weld on the bottom pieces. All I have to do now is just make sure the spacing is right, because they're already held in place at the top. So it's kind of an interesting looking little filter. I would not build this style for anything that I want to do personally, but again, you don't get a lot of freedom sometimes when you get these jobs. You can make recommendations, but in the end, the client says, this is what I want, and I can always tell them that, well, it's not the best, but it will work, and they decide whether or not they want to go ahead with it or not. There you go. That's kind of like, this is pretty much a typical example of the kinds of things they'll get for when I'm not actually doing the maintenance. They'll have a particular piece of equipment that's broken, and they need a replacement made for it, or in this particular case also, they're kind of concerned that the filtration system, that the coolant system was a little bit old, and I am going to go, when they hook this up, they're going to have it running, and I'm going to make sure that the water is at the right temperature, and also there's no view hole in this. Like, most of these lobster tanks are just big boxes, plywood with fiberglass or some form of resin on the inside to keep them waterproof. This particular model didn't have a viewport, so I am going to drill a hole through them as well. So that is one other thing I get to do. It's just a hole saw, so it's not such a big deal. But yeah, there you go. Leave me comments. Let me know what you think of this sort of stuff. I'm not sure you guys are terribly interested in seeing a lot of this kind of one-up job things, but it is something that comes up, and every now and then, like I said, someone gets curious about the kinds of stuff I do. And as far as like aquarium maintenance goes, I do have a bunch of that stuff coming up. Well, the main one's going to be the large U-shaped paludarium. You're going to see a lot of that build. We're finally now getting to the point where it is actually going forward quite quickly. So there should be a video for that in the next week or two. And then I am also going to probably put up a video for that tank I did, the one that had the algal bloom. I do want to show you a bit more work I've done it, and the progress the filters made, which is kind of interesting. I did put a high humidity planter on that with an underground filter, and I do want to show you guys how that's doing in a real world situation, so that is also going to come up as well. As far as a lot of the other aquariums I go, whenever I do maintenance on something, not everyone is comfortable with me filming, so I don't always get to show you all the things I do. And of course with COVID, there's a lot less to choose from. So I will show you as much as I can, and like I said, just leave comments, let me know. This is just an interesting style to a filter, and it does the job it needs to do, which is, like I said, this kind of thing comes up from time to time. I need to adapt what I know works to hopefully compensate for what they want. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, and bye for now.